There are lots of ways anime will hint that there's BL ahead. It's usually subtle things like giving male characters prominent nips, or making a male lead more beautiful than any woman in the show.
Why the f*** are you so hot?
Or a slow tender embrace in the opening credits. Twice. Or even having the characters kiss as a joke and then ceaselessly remind us of it. This is not a complaint, by the way. And sometimes, the show just goes the yandere route.
You.
Well, time to get to work. Meet Kananase Yuu, the cheeky yet sensitive MC destined for greatness despite humble beginnings. And Wolf Eric Meyer, his confident ride or die that the anime will have no idea what to do with. I'm Green Tea Cow, and this is the romantic subtext of Platinumhugen Ordian. In the not too distant future, the only way for a, we'll say wayward youth like you to have stability and goddamn structure in his life is to join a futuristic military. Now normally this is how men are drafted into the armed forces, but Yuu gets called into service by a pretty man in a crop top, as mandated by the BL Code of Conduct. Seriously, these are his everyday clothes and the camera won't stop eye-humping him. Yuu meets lots of people in his early days at the academy, including some potential waifus, but only one person leaves a big impression on him. The episode ends with this, so you know it's a big deal. Thanks to their main character status, Wolf and Yuu are already among the most gifted pilots in the academy. And game recognized game because Yuu can't get Wolf off his mind. When they finally meet in a non-combat situation, the show spends the next 3 minutes telling us how cool Wolf is, before realizing he's just been lurking in the background specifically to meet Yuu, who's already impressed by him from the start.
この時間にここにいるってことはご明察よろしく頼むよ
He didn't even need that see-through shirt. The swag was in him all along. If the immediate skinship is any indicator, they click right away. Wolf has a tendency to watch Yuu very closely and quickly picks up on his quirks. The show is actually kind of in love with Yuu's eyes, to be honest.
彼は不思議だね。あの目を見ていると言葉であれこれ言うより納得してしまう。目は口ほどにっていうのの体現者だよ。
After the team is assembled and they all start hanging out, you notice Wolf actually looks at Yuu the same way the women do.
あなたの瞳は鏡のようね。
鏡だ
それは僕も同感。君の目は物を語りすぎてる。鏡か。
You can be a bit of a hothead sometimes, so Wolf ends up being his handler, having to talk him down from aggravated assault on multiple occasions. Wolf is comfort food for Yuu in general, and he can lift his mood with ease. Wolf is one of the only people you can have a completely open, honest, normal conversation with. I think the creators must have gotten worried about how much better Wolf and Yuu's chemistry is than Yuu and the waifus, because the show will manufacture some nonsense to interrupt any kind of moment they were having. God forbid they feel their feelings for like a second. Now you could interpret all of this as a very close friendship, and yeah, there's a hot take, they're gay because the dudes actually get along well. But seriously though, that is kind of a big part of it. Early in the show, Wolf is sane and approachable with a good reputation, polar opposite of the women around him. It's a bad sign for the hetero subplot when the male lead doesn't actually jive with the waifus. Their characterization is pretty damn unflattering most times. And this is Waifu Wars. Behind door number 1 is Nana-chan. She weaponizes her friendship. She's bossy but kind and comes off as a little sister type. But she also seems like kind of a nuisance. And in episode 5, Yuu actually tries to kiss her. And she doesn't just punch him, she beats him mercilessly for the attempt. A simple nah fam would have sufficed, but damn. Behind door number 2 is their cold-ass bitch commanding officer Kaori. She treats Yuu like a lab rat, expects him to die at any moment, and then gets mad when he doesn't.
What doesn't kill you disappoints me.
She'd literally serve Yu's ass on a platter if it yielded good test results. She's his biological sister, but weirdly enough, the show tries to awkwardly ship her and Yu, and the reason why is even weirder. Behind door number 3 we have the mostly sane Kudere Nell. She gets the grandiose "I'm so special, I've just hatched into this world to a chorus of angels" sort of entrance. Ironically, they spend very little time together, which is a weird choice for your main love interest. Weirder still is when the MC and the crew actually meet her in episode 3, it looks like she's about to platinum herself off a rooftop. Which she totally does. They really get their money's worth out of those angels, I can tell you that. As a manic pixie dream girl, she's a mysterious yet needy nutcase who needs MC's help type character that was especially popular in the late 90s. This is the horse to bet on in Waifu Wars. Just as a reminder, this is a war anime, and the show won't let you forget it. Wolf and Yu get called into action, and many of the other characters get pushed aside to focus on them for a while. Yu quickly starts to feel the weight of his military duties and that pesky, constant threat of death. The casualties start to skyrocket, Yu gets PTSD. But emotional support Wolf is always there to comfort him. He even holds Yu's hand after his persistent night terrors. This part of the series is actually quite short, but not gonna lie, it gets pretty grim. Even Yu's crop top senpai bites it, and that hits him really hard. But somehow the show still sneaks in a shower scene for him and none of the waifus, just to show you the kind of headspace this anime is in. In fact, when there's an opportunity for fan service, it's Yu who takes the spotlight instead.
こんばんは。あれよ。イエーイ。
If someone's to be nude 4 out of 5 times, it's usually a dude. And the show's not stingy with the nips either. Fed up with these uncertain times, the team decides they'd rather go AWOL than die on a battlefield. Wolf even helps them escape, even though he's not going with them. While AWOL, Yu realizes there's no escaping the world's many problems. He doesn't say a word, but Wolf knows exactly what he's thinking and comforts him. The vibes are so immaculate, he and Wolf are able to communicate in complete silence. And since the women haven't really been called into battle, it's usually just the two of them fighting back to back. I can't stress enough that Wolf is a major emotional support system for Yu in a way the other characters never match. Flashbacks reveal Yu was a lonely bully child that lost his parents at an early age. Even his dog died.
俺を依存できる。痛い時、それを理解してくれる存在がいつでもそばに。
Naturally, he needed to be nude to come to this conclusion. Also, this is no surprise that Yu quickly comes to see Wolf and his mech as the companionship and stability he'd been lacking. After the gang's caught and tried for desertion, Wolf is there every step of the way. But thanks to being a guinea pig for the military, Yu's mental health is constantly wavering. By episode 11, he has his biggest freakout so far and claws his way out of his mech and literally flings himself into Wolf's lap.
どうしたって言うんだ、君は。俺はもう嫌だ。一人はごめんだ。一人は嫌だ。
落ち着くんだよ。そうさ、約束するよ。君を一人にはしない。君だけにしない。
This episode is even called Only For You. Hard to ignore that play on words there. Now I promised y'all a yandere, and here's where it starts. Wolf decides today is the day bitches die, and proceeds to butcher everyone around them, his own science project background starting to show itself. Yu tries to get him in the military to spare the last of the opposition, but that puts a big fat target on his head instead. They actively threaten and shoot Yu, and this mid-season finale ends when Wolf guns down their chief commanding officer to avenge a still very alive Yu. His devotion to him gets really intense really quickly, but he gets slapped with high treason as a result. Perfectly willing to shoot not his dad and throw away his freedom and possibly his life just to protect Yu. Luckily, thanks to his rich, influential father, it looks like Wolf will only be sentenced to house arrest. Oh, my heart bleeds. In said mansion, he stumbles onto something in the basement. Wolf escaped a treasonous death and jail time just to be lured in by a sentient machine. Science and maybe magic combine to restore Wolf's buried memories and give him a bad boy makeover. with a very necessary ass shot included. It mentally and physically remakes him, and he's changed into supposedly his original yet idealized self. Kurt Durmeyer.
彼はもうあなたの知るウォルフじゃないわ。
Wolf, excuse me, Kurt, gets evil and downright bad halfway through the series. There's no concrete villain, so Kurt must become the bad boy devil Yang to use heroic angelic yin. Kurt himself has no master plan. He's just kind of a puppet of fate. It's his destiny to fight Ordian for Ragnarok or whatever. It's all very esoteric. But even through his brainwashing, Kurt never forgets his promise to you.
そうさ、ユウ。約束だからね。君を決して一人にはしない。約束は必ず守る。
Also now they can whisper sweet nothings at each other telepathically, don't ask how. And in the nude, don't ask why, I have no answers. Like a lot of subtle BL anime of yesteryear, this show set up an obvious romantic relationship only to do a heel-turn character assassination on the bestie, brainwashing him to become a completely different yet somehow gayer person for plot purposes, or cruelly making his death the MC's fault. Don't worry, I'm not gonna make you watch that again. But for all the mild homophobia, Wolf and Yuu aren't even the only instance of gay subtext in this show. Reiko may have a girl crush on Yuu's ass sister Cowdy, and gets way too pissed at Yuu for not being able to save her when he had literally no clue what the was happening, before drinking her troubles away. The show keeps up its creepy sister fetish when the girls from Nell's past attack the base in episode 18. Since it's this anime, they plan to lure her to the dark side by lesing out. She's only able to resist them after Yuu intervene. And Olo, another successful remake patient, is not so subtly lusted after by the doctor who did the operation. He could barely keep his hands off him. Turns out Olo only underwent that procedure just because he wanted to bring his friend back to life, by using his own body. The show was just a daisy chain of simps. Surprisingly, there's not much going on between Yuu and the main waifu for large chunks of the show. Nella's occasional eye candy and background noise until the series midpoint. Her and her army of cats visiting Yuu after his first battle with Kurt is the most intimate thing they've done in 17 episodes. And he's asleep the entire time. Up until then, the anime had been the Wolf and Yuu show, with Wolf poaching most of her screen time until he got punted into the ocean, the standard timeline of the gay anime bestie. Nell and, let's be real, most of the cast find themselves in Kurt's shadow, whether he's good or not. I mentioned every major female character was some slice of the crazy pie that Yuu has to deal with, but since the anime's done a 180, Wolf's changed drastically. Now he's every bit as weird, unpredictable, controlling, or violent as the women on their worst day. The plot is set up so that Yuu has to break free of the obsessive, toxic Kurt, while being saved by the busty beard that barely speaks to him. It's actually Nell screaming that even allows Yuu to awaken his powers and fight Kurt in the first place. The show tries to act like Yuu and Nell have had actual chemistry by replaying episode 3 every so often. And later when Yuu is sulking after losing Wolf to the plot, his weird-ass sister suddenly becomes some sort of deity to him, after being f***ing horrendous for 99% of the time. This anime seems to think titties must be yeeted at him no matter who they belong to. It's implied Nell kisses him right before her mission in episode 18, but they don't show it. This is a rated R show with this much nudity and fan service, and all it can manage is one unexpected, unreciprocated kiss in episode 21. They push the hetero narrative, but actual affection with the lead is where they get shy, and it's ridiculous. The only way the anime can think to push the Yuu and Nell ship is by having everyone else in the cast just drop dead, or leave so that all they have is each other. Then Nell proceeded to do the exact same Wolf had done up until now. Like blow Yuu's mind with her skills as a first or early impression. Be an ace pilot or fighter, be a remake or brainwashing survivor, go through an obligatory calm down after a mecha freakout scene, promise to always keep you company, right before leaving and betraying everyone soon after. Same shit, different fly. It's not an accident that the romantic lead is so similar to Yuu's male bestie. Choices were made. Nell is just the version of Wolf Yuu is allowed to actively pursue. I know I keep drawing these parallels to Ava, but Frankly, it'd be easier to point out what the show didn't steal from them. Now, Yuu and Kurt have already fought once, but there were still like 9 episodes left at the time, which means Kurt will return. But honestly, their fighting makes no sense. Turns out Kurt is just a puppet in Ricardo's elaborate 20-year-old revenge plot to remake the whole world. Flashbacks reveal a bromance within a bromance when Yu's dad flew to Germany just to find him. They lived and worked together on the remaker technology for years. The Tomasaki leaves to continue their research in Japan. With Bei gone, Ricardo falls into a deep depression, until this turns into a love triangle and his research is destroyed. TLDR, sucks to get tucked. He's understandably upset having his heart broken twice. It took forever for the anime to get to this though, so to say the plot is all over the place is an understatement. Everything goes sideways after episode 12, when Wolf gets court-martialed for being overprotective of Yu. Feels like the anime's just been kinda winging it after that, which explains why Kurt seems like a vague idea of a villain, reduced to dark cloaks and exposition. When he's allowed some personality, he monologues about how this world was made just for him and Yu, and how much he wants to see him.
早く君に会いたい。You.
Kurt's pretty hung up on Yu even with the brainwashing, but the plot says he has to kill him. Thus the bury your gaze trope disguised as the kill or be killed by the one you love trope gets pulled out of its holster. With the hetero ship sunk for the moment, as both Nana and Nell are presumed dead by episode 23. During their final battle, if you can even call it that, it's mainly Yu and Kurt screaming each other's names during a light show, when Kurt's not just openly hitting on him.
笑えよ、ユウ。笑ってくれよ、ユウ。俺が心底嫉妬したお前のあの笑顔を見せてくれ。
Yu fights in a new mech with the Ordian White Angel, while Kurt's mech looks like a demon because we haven't been hit over the head with the angel-demon dichotomy hard enough yet. Symbolism aside, the show is chaos. Yu and Kurt have no clue why they're acting the way they are, and you could feel the plot being yanked back and forth between people who had very different visions or no vision at all for the show. So the series low-key has 2 endings. The speedrun ending where Nell and Nana survived with 0 explanation. Wolf regains his senses, and this end plays out as if the series didn't spend a grand total of 3 minutes setting them up as a couple. Then the quickest cut to credits you ever saw, like they couldn't wait to get this series over with. And honestly, can you blame them?
I am so tired.
They're like, here's your hetero ending, now get out of here kid, you bother me. And then there's the first ending. Yu and Kurt's mechas combine and their power creates one super mech and the ideal world where everyone gets what they want most. Old cucked Ricardo calms down and leaves with his digitized waifu, and Wolf and Kurt merge into a single being and finally come to an understanding. Theo's favorite next best thing ending, where the guys are alone together in some glowing fantasy space, naked and chatty, but without the canoes or fistfights this time.